How's it going, guys? Public Safety Network here. Today I'm going to talk to you a little today about communication as equipment. So my department actually decided recently to issue radios to everyone, and what they did before was we had a set of radios, probably maybe 30 or so, and then what you would do is you would check them out at the beginning of your shift, and you check them out at the end of shift. And this kind of made it so it was easy to account for equipment, make sure that we have everything. We would do inventory towards the end of shift to make sure that everything was accounted for, that either radios were in the office or they had been issued out to people out in the field. And so what the department decided to do was a little easier, is they would just order radios. So they spent a couple tens of thousands of dollars and ordered us these Motorola, 7580E series radios. They're really cool. So right here you have the on switch, you have the channel toggle so you can just change between channels, and then you have the emergency button on top, which is that little orange button, if you can see that. And that opens up the channel so that the officer that pushed the button can step on any traffic and they can get information that they need out, usually in an emergency situation where they may not have the ability to use their hands, or their hands are preoccupied doing something else and they need to be able to get the information out. It also has these little buttons right here that you can use for texting. A lot of these radios have a texting feature. My department doesn't pay for it because we have our cell phones. So if we have the ability to text, we can probably just use our cell phones to do that if we need to communicate with anybody. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on for you guys right here, and you can kind of see, how it looks when it's on. There we go. And so usually when it's pressed up louder, it makes a noise. But yeah, so that's pretty much the radio. It's got the battery setting right there, the channel it's on, and then I can toggle between the channels if needed. We have, I think, 4 or 5 different channels, ones for different units, and even just like a talk around channel. So I'm going to tell you guys this: if your company does not issue radios or have them available to you, I would seriously consider moving companies, because in my opinion, at that point, your company doesn't care about you. I've worked for companies where the only form of communication we had was our cell phones, where we pretty much either had to text or call dispatch, or text or call a supervisor. Well, if there's an emergency situation where I'm dealing with something, or God forbid, I'm in a fight with somebody, I'm not going to have the ability to sit there and send out a text message. They dispatch, hey, I'm getting beaten up here. Could you send some help? So, and a lot of times it has to do with companies just being cheap. They don't want to fork out the money for these radios. They don't have to go with this type of radio. These radios run about $600, $650 a piece. You don't have to spend that, especially as a small security company. You don't have to spend that much on radios. You can find decent enough radios for $100, $200, $300, especially if you only have a small number of employees. But I've worked for companies that have had 25 employees that have a radio system set up that pay for a subscription service where they can talk to everyone at once. That's what's important, guys, because out of all the tools that you carry, this one's going to be the one that's probably going to save your life the most. It's going to get you the help you need. It's going to be able to radio for backup, or radio for an ambulance, radio to roll out the police department. So this is the tool that's probably most important. And if your company can't provide that for you, it's probably time to move on and find someone that will. Other than that one company, I've never worked for one that did not issue some form of communication device that was practical. So I said, if your company doesn't do that now, and you think that there's a possibility they might, that's something to bring up with your management team or even the executive team. Be like, hey, this is something we probably should have for everybody. Will you guys be willing to do this for us? It doesn't have to be where everyone gets issued their own. I've worked for companies that do that. It could just be, hey, here's your radio for your shift. Check it in. Check it out when you go on shift, and then check it back in when you're done. And we still have equipment where I work that we do that with. So from the end of the day, guys, radio's incredibly important. Said if you have them, use them use them how you're supposed to. Use your radio etiquette. Make sure that you're using them the way they're supposed to be. And if you don't have, you guys either need to be thinking about making that talk with your team, with the management teams, to be like, hey, this is what we need, or possibly finding someone else, because at that point the management team probably out just to make a quick buck, and they're not really caring about officer safety at this point. I'll probably do other equipment videos as I get more. I have probably some pretty cool equipment coming in here pretty soon, and so I'll probably do some talks about that. But if you like this video, you'd like to see more of the equipment or really any other topics, go ahead and like the channel, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends, and go ahead and have a good day, guys. And if you're working tonight, have a good shift and stay safe.